Stretching and framing art on canvas. GCF candidates must be able to assemble timber stretcher bars securely to given measurements and of a strength suitable for each individual canvas. They must be able to stretch canvases evenly and to the correct tension and fix them securely to the stretcher bars. The image size of the canvas must be to specification and corners must be neatly folded and not cut. Before framing any canvas, the framer should check whether the tension needs adjusting and that the stretchers are properly squared. If the stretchers are inadequate and in need of replacing, or if the canvas needs restretching, the customer should be advised. Prints and photographs on canvas should be lightly tensioned and framed according to the same principles as oil paintings. However, framers are often presented with canvases that have never been stretched. Here are some guidelines on how to proceed. 1. Agree the desired image size and frame design with the customer. 2. Obtain stretcher bars of the correct size. These tend to come in standard sizes, although custom sizes can be made to order. Good quality stretcher bars have one rounded outside edge, which is designed to prevent bar marks appearing on the painting. 3. Once assembled, check that the corners are 90-degree angles, either using a set square or by measuring the diagonals, which should be equal. If the canvas is large or heavy, you may need to reinforce the strength of the stretcher frame by adding cross or brace bars. 4. Place the stretcher frame face up on the workbench and position the canvas onto it. Once the canvas is aligned correctly, lightly insert a pin or tack into the center of each side. These will hold the canvas in place while you turn it over onto a soft, clean towel and will be removed as the stretching progresses. 5. The canvas should be attached to the sides or the back of the stretcher frame using solid copper tacks or galvanized tacks that resist rusting, figure 27. Staples may be used providing they are galvanized or stainless steel. To prevent excess damage to the warp and weft of the canvas, staples should be inserted diagonally rather than parallel to the stretcher bars. Stretcher pliers are useful for getting a grip on the canvas and pulling it to the right tension. These specialist pliers have two wide, textured grips that hold the canvas securely as it is pulled. 6. The first 4 tacks should be placed at the center of each side. As you position these, discard the 4 temporary tacks. Most framers hold the stretcher frame upright as they tack so that they can see both sides and have maximum control over the position of the image and the tautness of the canvas. Check that you are happy with both the image position and the tautness before adding further tacks. If you are not happy, then remove and replace one or more of the tacks. At this stage, you should also check that the stretcher frame is still square. 7. Continue adding tacks from opposite side to opposite side and from the center of each side outwards, pulling and stretching as you go. The distance between the tacks depends upon the size and weight of the canvas, and this generally varies between 20 mm and 50 mm. 8. To help with restretching in the future, corners and excess canvas must never be cut. Tack or staple either side of the stretcher bar mitre, but not across it. The mitre must be left unrestrained for possible future tensioning. Any excess canvas may have to be held down with a few tacks for neatness. 9. The canvas should be taut enough that it does not sag or bow, but not so tight that it is in danger of tearing or distorting. A little movement of the canvas must be allowed. If the back of the canvas is gently flicked with a finger, a soft note should be emitted, not a hard-sounding note. 10. 2 wooden wedges should be inserted into each corner, figure 28. These reinforce the square angle of the corners and are useful for retensioning the canvas as it inevitably relaxes over time. Add the wedges to both long sides first and then the short sides. This helps prevent the stretcher frame assembly going out of square and corner rucks developing in the canvas. Gently tap the corner wedges into place using a pin hammer. This tightening process is often referred to as keying out. When keying out, it is a good idea to place a small square of mount board under each corner so that there is no danger of the hammer damaging the canvas. Most wedges have a 90-degree angle, a 70-degree angle and a 20-degree angle. The grain of the wood runs from the 90-degree angle along to the point. You should insert the wedge with the 90-degree angle projecting into the center of the canvas and the 70-degree angle beside the stretcher bar. The grain of the wood should run lengthways into the corner of the frame. In simple terms, the longest side of the wedge, which runs opposite the right angle, should lie against the stretcher bar. Framers often mistakenly put the short side against the stretcher bar. Wedges are more likely to split when tapped if they are inserted the wrong way. You should be tapping against the grain of the wood, not along it. Plywood and plastic wedges do not have a grain, so the above guidelines do not apply, but most quality wedges are made from hardwood. Hardwood wedges are strong and long-lasting. 11. The rebate size of the frame must be 3 to 6 millimeters larger than the stretched canvas on all four sides to allow for the eventual expansion of both wood and canvas. Sometimes inserting a slip can be useful to increase the size of the rebate lip. 12. There are various clips available for fastening stretched oils into their frames. Figure 29. Z-clips. One end of the Z has to be tapped into the frame's rebate with a hammer and the rest of the Z folded back before the painting is inserted into the frame. The clip is then folded forward and the other end of the Z is lightly hammered into the back of the stretcher bar. The number of Z-clips used depends upon the size of the painting. Care should be taken not to damage the sight edge of the frame, and using a small piece of card as protection will help. Spring clips are screwed into the frame and then turned round to overlap onto the painting and hold it in place. Offset clips are a very neat method of fixing. As per the illustration, figure 29, an offset clip is screwed to the back of the moulding with the offset lip holding the canvas in place. 13. Suitable hangers are fixed into the frame. To prevent any possible distortion of the stretcher bar assembly or canvas, hanging fittings should not be attached to the stretcher bars. As the canvas relaxes, the wedges sometimes fall out and slip between the canvas and the bottom stretcher bar, leaving imprints on the front of the canvas. To prevent this, the framer can make small holes in the wedges and then fix the wedges to the stretchers with thin wire or cord. Stretcher moulding can also be bought in lengths for cutting to specific sizes. Some have a central channel into which a single right-angled triangular wedge can be inserted at each corner. Strainer bars have no facility for wedges to be inserted and need to be joined by pinning. For the GCF exam, candidates are required to use timber stretcher bars that require 2 wooden wedges at each corner.